Hi, welcome back to the breadboard. Today got a bit of a mailbag. I've had, as you can see, a pile of goodies sent to me from RS Components in Europe, and I haven't gone through them all yet and opened them up, but want to do that, so I figured that I might as well record the process, seeing what RS Components has kindly sent to me to use in my projects and to review and to play with. So let's get started. Okay, we'll start with these in no particular order, just the order of the stack, and I'll finish off with the smaller items towards the end. Before I start, just want to point out the new t-shirt. No, I didn't go to Harrisburg University, but I helped them out a little while ago with some industrial controller knowledge that I'd done from some of my previous videos, and they kindly sent me some t-shirts, so here they are. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll wear them with pride on some of my videos and things, and look forward to doing some work with you in the future. So RS Pro have done a whole bunch of rebranding, come out with a whole bunch of new products recently. I didn't know what I was going to get. They didn't sort of say, here, what do you want? They put together a bunch of items that might be of use to me with my video productions, because as I've said in the past, nobody pays me to make my videos. The best I get is people send me products to review and I get to keep them. So that's kind of as far as it goes. Outside of that, everything I do is unbiased. It's my own opinion, and I try to keep it as honest and above board as possible. So these were sent to me at no cost to me for my videos, and I'm going to be using them in a lot of upcoming projects and things like that. So let's get started. So I'm not sure what's in each one until I open it, because some of these have got part numbers on, but not a description necessarily inside. So this one is a RS part number 1232225 for those playing along at home. And we'll open this up. It's got a, the theme is pretty much all test and measurement, by the way, in case you're wondering. So this is a sound level meter. Let's have a look inside. Nice solid plastic case to protect it. So what we have here is an RS Pro. I'll do some separate videos for going into deep details of these. RS Pro sound level meter. Have a microphone transducer on the top. These are usually the most expensive part of these, is these transducers up here. Little windsock protection thing. Nice big LCD display. I've already put the battery in here. I wanted to make sure the boxing when it arrived was a bit damaged, so I wanted to make sure everything was okay. So let's just put this back in the box and we will move on to the next item. Okay, next one up, a little bit of a different shape. Item number 1632719. And this one, this one is a PicoScope. So one of the things when I was talking about RS, when they were suggesting that they would send me a whole bunch of things, was that we would look at the hobbyist and entry-level electronics engineer and what would be useful for things like testing Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, etc., without breaking the bank. I've shown you lots of videos and reviews in the past where it's been oscilloscopes and DMMs and things like that, and they've all been hundreds, if not thousands of dollars or pounds even, and so out of really the reach of many of a beginner in electronics. So we've got a lot of things here. Most of these items are sort of 250 pounds or less, or significantly less. I will put links to all of these items in the description so that you can see. Anyway, what we have here is a RS Pro branded PicoScope. It's the model 2205A, which I think is a 20 megahertz. Let me have a look here. Comes with a USB lead, which is nice. Scope probes. So we have a pair of scope probes. Get that down there. With a data sheet and a quick start guide. This is for relatively low voltage probing and testing and things like that. Okay, so just be warned. Don't try connecting to the mains, because you'll probably hurt yourself and you'll probably blow up this PicoScope as well. So this one stays in the box for now. Let's grab the next one. What have we got here? Item number 1233254. So this one looks like a, this is an LCR meter. I've never had one of these. I do have some low-cost eBay type of component checkers, which will measure inductance, capacitance, resistors, and things like that. And most of my multimeters also have a capacitance checking range on them, but it's not a highly accurate quality measurement device for components. It's primarily a multimeter that happens to have capacitance capability as well. So what we have here is a complete LCR meter. It's the LCR 1703, I believe, that's in here. Yeah, 1703. So comes with a CD, which is going to have some software on. Probe clips with crocodiles on the end, so banana plugs to crocodile for clipping on components. We have a shorting bar for calibration. So this is an SMD probe, so if you've got lots of components you're checking, SMD parts, there's nothing worse than using a couple of sharp, pointy probe tips from a standard multimeter. Usually your component, if it's a small one, just goes ping and flies off the bench, and then you spend the rest of the afternoon trying to find it again. With this, it's got a nice pair of quality gold-plated tweezers. The 4-terminal connection is brought right up to the probe tips, where you can just squeeze on either side of the component and get a measurement. So that's really nice. We have a USB lead for connection. We have a set of adapters for different mains in different countries. In here is English and mainland Europe, I think, with the 2 prongs, and a power adapter. This is going to be a universal power adapter, I'm pretty sure of that. Let's just get it out of the box and have a look. Yeah, so 5 volts at 2.5 amps, it's 100 volts to 240 volts, 47 to 63 hertz. So it looks like it's a standard USB port anyway, so they're going to have plenty of adapters that I could use this with, not a problem. And then we have the LCR meter itself, exact same form factor as most other multimeters that you would see on this channel and any other one. Has the USB connection on the top. You can run it on main. So if you're running on a bench environment, you would just plug in your USB adapter on here, and as long as it's 5 volts, 2.5 amps capable, that'll be great. And obviously if you want to run it away from the bench, then it's got the built-in batteries anyway. Let's just power this up. There we go, straight in. So again, we will have a separate video reviewing this. This is going to be a very, very handy addition to my bench. Let's just put these back in here for now. All right, what have we got next? 1232221. This is an ILM 1335. So let's just open this up. Okay, it's in its own plastic box. The rest of this is packing, very nicely packaged. So what do we have in here? Let's open this up. And what we have is a light meter. You get a little bit of a theme going on here, right? It's all about test and measurement and environmental as well as components. So we've had a sound meter, now we have a light meter to go with that. So we have the light sensor. It's very important in workspaces and things that you have enough light for working. And so how do you actually test that? Well, you use something like a light meter. So right here, right now, with the lighting we've got, it's measuring about 240 lux. And if I turn on my overhead lights, wham, we suddenly jump up to 2,500 lux. So you can see how important having some decent lighting above your bench is. I apologize for the beginning of the video for not having that on, but again, we'll go through all of the functionality and how to use these and make deterministic measurements and things with it in a video just for this. Next up, long skinny box. This is a RS part number 1624458. What we have in here comes in its own case. So we have another disc, RS Pro. That's because this is also a remotely controllable item. It is a clamp meter. It's an RS155B. It is for AC and DC current. Let me just pull it out of the case. So it comes with a very nice case, just for protection. Thermocouple, type K-type thermocouple, I believe. Little metal ball on the end. Brown lead. It comes with nice long, looks like silicone lead test leads. Ow, sharp test leads. Removable, are they removable caps? Yes, removable caps if you need to get the longer, skinnier, there we go, probes. So yes, they are sharp. And for extra protection, you can put the covers on so that only the tips are exposed so you don't short things out. And the clamp meter itself is quite heavy in the hand, but still not too bad. Standard opening clasp for putting your cable through when you can't just push it through. So if you're working in a switch cabinet or something like that and you need to just clip over a lead, you can just open it up, clip it over, and this will actually measure AC and DC current. It has a Bluetooth interface as well, so if you wanted to clip it on and be standing a little way back and making your measurements, you can do that. And you can use it for data logging and things as well. So very, very handy for an electrician for doing work, or if you're working out in the field, whether it be on a car, like automotive work, or whatever it may be. It's got pretty much everything you would need all built into the one unit. Let me just turn this on. We'll have a look at what the display is like. So there we go. It's a nice, clearly readable LCD display. I've just turned it on to volts range right now. So it's 1, 2, 3, looks like 3.5, 4 digit. And we'll be going through that, as I said, in another video. Oh, it has a flashlight as well, by the look of it. Let's try that. Yeah, there we go. So I open the clamps, it lights up so you can see what you're doing, maybe in a slightly darkened electrical closet, make things a bit more visible for you. When you close it, they go back off again. So that's handy. This is going to be very, very handy for a lot of things, especially even because it will do DC current as well. It will be good for a lot of battery-powered testing. Let's put that aside somewhere. Okay, this one is rather large. I think it's in a... Yep. This is a RS Pro part number 1445337, and it actually says on here it is a MeterScope. So I'm pretty sure I know what this is because I was having a look at these. So, comes in a very nice, sturdy, blown plastic case. PE HD, that PE is polystyrene. Ave is very good at knowing what all of his plastics are by just those little markers on them. I'm not quite so clever at that. I could look it up and put it in the description, but I don't think it's that important. Okay, first things right off the bat we got here is several manuals. Again, another disc, full-size one this time. So that is going to be very handy dandy. So let's pull out, there's the meter itself, and as you can see, large, let's get rid of the plastic off the display. Large TFT display, let's turn this on. This one is using rechargeable batteries. I believe you charge it through the front connectors. There's a special block here we'll get to in a second. Let's turn this on to oscilloscope. So it comes up with RS Pro. and drops right into the oscilloscope. I don't know if you can see that very well there. The oscilloscope range. Again, we'll have a closer look at this in a future video. So you've got the frequency, voltage, resistance measurements. Very nice clear display, as you can see. 5-digit, so 50,000 count. That's currently on the millivolts AC range, which is why it's flickering around. Bluetooth IP67 waterproof. I have done in the past some testing where I've literally thrown these out in the snow for a few hours. It was one of my Agilent ones way back, and left it there for quite a few hours and then brought it in, so it was about minus 20 degrees centigrade. Tested it, worked perfectly. Then I took it immediately while it was still at minus 20, threw it in a bucket of warm water for an hour or so, and again worked flawlessly. So just verifying the IP67 rating. I only have one of these. At the time I had two of the Agilent, so I just verified that if I broke one, if it failed, they would take care of me with it. So this one, again, very confident I could take it outside in the rain. You shouldn't be testing high voltages in the rain, by the way, but if it did get wet, it's not going to harm it. And you know, high humidity environments and things like that will work very, very nicely. So here's our scope probe, and it is indeed a ×1 scope probe. And it says ×1 and 40 megahertz bandwidth, because the meter itself is only, oh, I didn't see that in there. What was the bandwidth of the oscilloscope part? Well, with 50 megasamples a second, it's only going to be, I think, probably 10 megahertz bandwidth, because usually you've got the Nyquist factor and things you need to consider. I will verify that, and of course when we go through the full review we will confirm it as well, because I have plenty of test equipment that can generate some high frequencies. We have another K-type thermocouple. Let me just pull this out of the bag. Keep showing these in the plastic bag, but that's not a very good way to see them. This one has a braided shielded screen, so probably for hotter environments. Again, you've got the welded tip on the end of the probe, your connection to the multimeter, one thick, one thin, so that you've got it polarity correct. And this one has a much better shielded, it's not just a plastic sleeve, this is a metallized sleeve. So be careful with this one, because it probably would short something out if you laid it across a circuit board or something. Okay, what else do we have in here? We have, these are definitely heavier duty silicone test leads, BNC, with the little protective covers on. And if you notice in these, they have the insulated inners as well, so you can't even touch this. For those few occasions where you might leave one end of your test lead still connected to the circuit, and if for some reason you unplug your meter, you won't be able to access, 1,000 volts sitting on these pins. You'll be protected from getting an electric shock and things. So that's nice. That's fairly typical on any quality meter probe leads and things that you get these days. Have the BNC adapter for the oscilloscope probe. So standard 4mm jacks into the BNC connector. So you would just drop this into the plugs. Again, remove the caps and plug it in. We have adapter for the thermocouple. So that gives us the nice thermocouple connection through to the banana plugs. Some very heavy duty crocodile clips for measuring current and things like that. These feel very, not gonna, ow, yeah, silly. So these look very, very meaty indeed. What else is in here? We have, in this case, two different types of probe. So the other ones I showed you on the clamp meter had a little cap that you could pull off the probe. In this case, it's provided us with two completely different probes here. Yeah, 2 with longer exposed metal tines and 2 with protected right up to the tips. And I bet you they got different cat ratings written on them. Yeah, the one with the exposed area is a Cat 2 1000 volt. So this one is a Category 2 1000 volt, 10 amps. And this one is a Cat 3. This is a Cat 3 1000 volt with Cat 4 600 volts as well. This one here. So the short ones are for Cat 4. The ones with the long metal exposed, only Cat 3. A couple of covers for the probe, because this is a waterproof, a couple of covers for the meter, because this is an IP67 rated meter, and you want to probably cover over the banana jack holes that are not being used. So there's a couple of those for that. Looks like we have a Bluetooth adapter. Remember I said this thing will work with Bluetooth, so it comes with, in this case, a Bluetooth dongle for the PC. So that's very handy to have if you didn't have one already. And finally in here we have a AC power adapter, in this case with a explosive bag. In this case, as I was going to say, with three, or did I lose another one? I probably sent another one flying somewhere. I've got 3 here, so I've got a North American one that's already installed on the power pack, a looks like Australian, and a mainland Europe, just the 2 pins. There's probably a UK one that went flying when I ripped that bag open. I'll find it. There we go. Found it. And a UK one, of course. So, covers the world as far as the power adapter is concerned. And to use it, you have this special cover. So you cannot use the meter when you're charging it. You plug this in, it goes into all 4 connections. And it has a little jack on the end of it for putting the power into. So, they thought of safety there with that. I like that. So, rechargeable, oscilloscope, full function multimeter. I was saying that these are relatively inexpensive, and they are. These are all RS Pro branded products. It's not like you're buying an Agilent or something like that, which are quite expensive just to start with. This is, well, I'll check the price and put it in the description, but it is for something that gives you oscilloscope functionality, a 50,000 count DMM, with all of the ranges, Bluetooth connectivity, IP67 waterproof, and everything else. It, I believe, is a very reasonable price. So we'll check it. I'll put the price up on here. Now remember, this price is only current as of March 2019 and subject to change, and obviously different regions around the world, there'll be different prices. But it's it feels very, very rugged, every bit as solid as any of my Agilents. And I think that completes everything in this box. So let's just get this shut up and we'll move on to the next one. All right, some of the smaller items now that came in. These are more, a lot of general purpose pieces of kit. Some of these are in blister packs. Let's leave those over there. And we'll slowly work through these. All right, let's take this heavy one first. We have a, what does it say? Work holder. RS Pro, part number 8496238. Let's pull this apart. A little bit of extra packing. Put that down there. And, ooh, that looks rather nice. So, you have here a work holder with, so I've had some of these things in the past. In fact, I've got one over there. Let me just go grab it so I can show you. So like this, that I use occasionally. Now the problem with this is it's not, it's not very stable on the bench. So if you're pushing, you can easily knock it over and things like that. If you want to be doing something a little more heavy duty, you would clamp it to the bench or something. It works okay, but just 2 croc clips. That's it. It's a little bit awkward sometimes. What this one is effectively, I think they call it a jeweler's vise, something like that. You can position it very easily in any orientation, and then just a single screw, just clamp it up. but it has circular vise like this, and you can, a little ring there I guess for playing with, you can expand it out and grip something from the inside, like a disc of some kind, and clamp it. But you can also expand it out and put something in the inside and grip it. But if you have something of an awkward shape, it's got these little pins in here that you can actually take out and position so that you can get a perfect grip on some weird shaped object. One of the other things that I noticed with this is it has an extremely heavy base. So when I put that down, it is a lot harder to knock it over, which is really nice. So that's going to be very handy for some future projects where I'm messing around with small PCBs and soldering them or working on them, and I want to be able to grip them securely. It's all metal, so it'll take heat from a soldering iron without being concerned. They get a few extra pins as well. So there's a nice little work holder, which should be kind of cool. So let's go on to the next thing. Oh, Pinless moisture meter, RS Pro 1469082. So let's have a look in here. So I have different moisture, I have humidity meters. You've seen me use them in a lot of my videos for industrial control, as providing humidity and temperature readings for around the house or outside and things like that. And in woodworking, I have a moisture meter that has two spikes on it, and you spike it into the wood and it will give you a relative moisture reading. The problem with that is that you got to spike it into the wood, so you're damaging the surface. So what do you do if you don't want to damage the surface and you want to measure maybe deeper than just, you know, the first millimeter of the wood? Well, you can use things like this. It's called a pinless moisture meter, and what it has is on the top here, it actually has an RF probe which can measure quite deep into an item, like, you know, in wood or whatever it might be, soil, and measure the humidity. Is this English? No, that's not the English one. Let's have a look what it says here. So quickly indicate the moisture content of materials. Depth of penetration up to 40 millimeters deep, which is kind of interesting. Measure and hold function, minimum, maximum display, alarm functions, low battery, auto power off, and backlit display. Another piece of peel. Alrighty, so I'll turn this on. Very nice clear display. Right now it's reading 0, but it's still using RF to go through my hand and measure the humidity. If I get a piece of cardboard and tell it to measure the cardboard, see right now it's saying, I think 12% humidity in that cardboard. If I take that away, it's showing 0, which is dry. So now, relative to humidity, 100% is not a cup full of water, right? So human body is got a lot of water in it. I think 100% humidity is as much as can be in the air before it starts precipitating out of the air as rain or mist or something like that. RF based humidity meter, very useful. So now we've got light, we've got humidity, we have sound. So those are the three we've seen so far, and I see another one in here, which is I'll pull out next, which will complete the picture for environmental measurements. Now, humidity is important in a test lab and various other places too, because too much humidity is not good for your equipment, and too little humidity can start causing a lot of static and things like that. So it's good to be able to measure humidity and know what you're dealing with. Now, like I said, this is for measuring objects like wood and various other things for their humidity content. It's not measuring the humidity in the air. All right, let's just turn that off, put it aside for the moment, and move on to another one. Oh, there it is. There's the one that I mentioned that completes the picture. So this is in a blister pack. Now, a lot of these other items now are very low cost from RS Components. You'll see when you look on the site how much they cost, but these are in the sort of £20 range, so $20 to $40 for a lot of these items, and they're all in the nice RS Pro colors. So let's pull this one out. This one is a it says food safety infrared thermometer. Now, just because it's food safe doesn't mean you can't use it for other things. So this is, let's have a look. The instructions, I think, are actually in here. So food safety infrared thermometer, multi-language, very little. So it measures, infrared will measure from -40 to plus 280 degrees centigrade. The probe has a probe. Yep, has a probe. So we see here it's got an infrared sensor on the end here. Very similar to the RS industrial sensor that I showed you in a previous video, where it's touchless, so you just point it at something. And this, in this case, it actually has a probe as well, which you could probably poke into meat or other food items, or in a freezer to measure the temperature of things and stuff like that. So we have scan, light. Yep, it's got a light on here. And I think the light is representative of how much of the area is being scanned. It's bright here, so you can't see that quite so well. And we've got a set. So if we just press the scan and I point it at my hand, it's measuring 33.6. So, I don't know if you can see that well enough or not, but there it is. If I scan just something inert on the bench, it's reading 21.3, which is about the room temperature, so I would expect that to be that. For the infrared scanning, you need to be aware that if you measured something metallic or shiny, it could easily be measuring reflection. So be aware of emissivity measurements, factors in your measurement. Anyway, so that's the RS Pro RS IR-95. Stock number 1558898 infrared thermometer. Very cool. What's up next? We'll keep that one till last. All right. So next up is an RS SMD 100. This is a component tester tweezers. It comes with a couple of batteries, tweezer probes, case, and some test leads, Cat 3 600 volts. So as you can see, I haven't even had this out of the case before now. We have a little manual for it. So this one is, let's have a look here. Function and arrange button is all it's got on here, and a little battery component at the back. No battery in here yet. We'll put one in just a second. And this is the RS SMD 100. So specifications for this measure up to 10 megohms by the look of it. No, 10 to the 6, yeah, 10 megohm. It's got capacitance, diode check, a millivolts, milliamps, volts, amps capability, resistance measurement. So its component checking is really just checking resistors, capacitors, diodes. It's not inductance, I don't believe. Let's have a look. 50 volts maximum voltage, 6,000 count. So it's not high resolution, but it is a nice, cute little handheld device. And with the cover on, perfect for just throwing in your tool bag and keeping it with you. So, and you can take the probes out of the end and put in more traditional test leads. Did I get that the right way around? No, I did not. There we go. So that you can use just standard test probes as well to measure something. So look, does it say the two samples per second? Batteries will last about 60 hours of use. Auto power off, 0.5% accuracy on DC voltage, AC voltage 0.8% of reading. Resistance about 1%, 1.5%, 2.5% for the high 60 megohm range. So very basic test component, voltage tester and things like that. Okay, batteries are installed, and if you can see that display well enough or not under this light, just as I said, we will have a look at this as well separately. Quite readable. Now remember, this is not a cat rated. It says cat 3 600 volts, but on it is actually warning you, do not measure anything over 35 volts. All right, and I would agree with that. It's, you know, even though it's cat rated for that, so it'll probably protect you, you will probably destroy this unit if you try to measure any high voltages with it. In here, it's showing the AC voltage range only goes up to a 50 volt range, and the same for DC volts, only up to 50 volts. So, you know, if you need something for testing basic electronics, working with Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, and other computer-based things, including, you know, lower voltage power supplies, then perfect. But if you want to be using this for anything beyond that, for mains-based power supplies and things like that, then don't use that. Get something more appropriate for the job. One, you might hurt yourself, and that's worst case scenario. But even, you know, more simple than that, you probably will destroy this instrument by connecting it up to too high a voltage. We have a next item, voltage tester. This is RSVP12, stock number 1611627 voltage tester. So there are a lot of variations of these available on the market. This one has a voltage detection range of 100 volts AC to 1000 volts AC, or 24 volts AC to 1000 volts AC. Powered by 3 volts 2 AAA batteries. Works from -10 to +50, so it's good in the field and things like that. Contaminated distinction 2. Never come across that phrase before. Again, multi-language instruction manuals, which is great. I'm sure the instructions for this are not going to be very complicated. Apparently it's got a flashlight, battery cover, 100 volt, 24 volt change switch, and that's all the controls you have. So before, and this is a good warning here, before its use, verify operation by testing a known working circuit that is within the range of this unit. This is something that is not, I think, emphasized enough in testing, is when you're testing something, people will take a multimeter and stick it across a pair of contacts and say, oh, there's no volts there, and then they'll go away and they'll put their stuff on and they'll start working and then suddenly electrocute themselves. And the reason for that is because they haven't verified that the multimeter, for instance, is working properly. So put it onto something that is going to make a measurement that you know will give you a reading. When you know that that is giving you a correct reading and what you expect, either by continuity or voltage AC reading or whatever it is you're supposed to be reading, then go do your measurement. And if you get what you expect, so for instance, you're measuring for 0 volts because you've powered down a 3-phase circuit, verify that you've got the 0 volts, but then when you've done that, go back and retest your meter to make sure it is still working. Because you never know, when you connected it onto those things, you might have fried something depending on what real voltages are there. So you do this double check just before you start and just after you finish to make sure your meter is working properly. And that's the only way to ensure you're not going to kill yourself, basically. All right. In this case, even though this is a very innocuous device, you would test it on a known AC circuit. You would then go test the circuit you're interested in, and then go back to the AC circuit and verify it's still working. So in this case, this has got a 24 volt range as well as a 100 volt to 1000 volt range. So probably when you, there's a little button on here that you would press to probably increase the sensitivity. Don't have the batteries in here yet, so let me just put the batteries in, and it's got a little flashlight too. So let's put the batteries in and just give it a quick play. So batteries just slip in the center of this thing, a little buzzer at the end. Obviously you want audio feedback. Circuit board running through the middle, so obviously you need to have this cover on. Otherwise you're not be protecting yourself. So it just slides on, positive reinforcement on the clip, and there we have it. I guess that's now active. So flashlight. That's reasonably bright. And our test probe. So right now it's not doing anything. So if I take it near something that has mains on it, do I have that turned on? I do not. What do I have around here that's got mains on it? Hold on 1 second. So I'm pushing it into a, actually it won't go into my North American mains socket, so pushing the ground, but not, yeah, pushing it into pushing it into the USB connector, and it's triggering, probably because there is mains very close inside there. I also have plenty of, yeah, I'm actually touching the live leads of my DIN rail test bed that I have here. I've got some leads going down to some power relays, and I think about 1.5 inches away it's going on for the live, which is only 110 volts. For 24 volts, I wonder whether it will work with 24 volts or not. Yep. It will actually beep with 24 volts DC as well, which is rather nice. So, very cool. No off button. Probably when you're not testing something, it probably has a very, very low leakage. Doesn't say how long the battery would last, but I'd imagine it would be quite a long time. That's also one of the reasons why with battery equipment like multimeters, etc., you want to test on something you know will make it work and trigger, and then test what you're really interested in, and then go back and test again, because a flat battery means you'll get no indication. That doesn't mean it's safe, it just means you don't know. So test it first, then go on, and then test it again. So that is the voltage tester. Finally, last item. This is a semiconductor component analyzer. So RS155. It's a stock number 1469093. So let's just break this out. It is a component tester. Got the instruction manual, again, Espanol, Italian, Dutch, French, and English. So it will measure bipolar transistors, Darlington transistors, MOSFETs, JFETs, triacs, thyristors, LEDs, bicolor LEDs, diodes, diode networks, automatic pinout configuration, gain measurement for transistors, leakage current for bipolar transistors, whole bunch of things, gate measurement for enhanced mode MOSFETs, gate threshold measurement, that is. So again, we will have a look at this on a separate video. Is there a plastic cover on the display on this too? Yes, there is. So let's just pull that off. They always look so much nicer. And on this one, we've got a battery compartment. Batteries are installed. Has a little bail so you can sit it upright. And this one uses 3 little test clips for putting onto your component under test. So let's just pull that out there a second. Have it there. Close it up. And so the display is 2-line text display. It's actually saying no component, nope, do that again. No component detected. I'm trying to see if I can show you that. So let's go get a component and quickly do a test. Okay, grab 3 components here. I've got unknown, I don't know if it's a transistor or a FET or what it is, but it came off of a claimed off of a board. I've got a capacitor and an electrolytic capacitor. So let's just see what this makes of these. Let's do the capacitors first. I'll just randomly use the red and blue lead for the first one. Just clip it on. And I'll press the analyze. It's analyzing, and it says unknown or faulty component. Try that again. Let's try the component here. I know you're not seeing the display. I'm just reading out to you what I'm seeing on it when I test this. These were all removed from a board using a quality desoldering tool and things like that, so my removal process should not have damaged them. So this says PNP silicone transistor. That's what it's identified it as. I don't know if I can give you a better view of that display. If I page down, red, green, blue, so base is on the red, green is the collector, and blue is the emitter. And it should tell us the gain is 181, and test current was 2.5 milliamps, and base emitter voltage is 0.75, test current I base 4.5 milliamps. So quite a lot of test parameters it's given us there. Analyzing again. Oh, there we go. P-channel junction FET is what it got this one as. Let's just move a little closer so I can show you. There we go. P-channel junction FET. And drain and source not identified. Okay. It knows that the red is the gate, so it might be a weird kind of FET. So, perfect. Oh, you know what? Maybe it doesn't do capacitors. Transistors, MOSFETs, JFETs, triacs, thyristors, diodes, LEDs, pin identifications, transistors. No! Okay, my mistake then. It does not do capacitors. It only does components, active components. So diodes, triacs, MOSFETs, silicone basically, or germanium or whatever, but not passive components. So no resistance. Nope, can't see resistance on here either. So it is truly a semiconductor component analyzer. So let's forget the capacitors. That's good that that was clarified. And I'll just grab a couple of LEDs and see what it makes of those. So I've got a, show you here, a nice red one and a big white one. Let's just put the white one on first, between red, randomly between red and blue, and press the analyze and see what we got. So LED or diode junctions, and red is the cathode and blue is the anode. Forward voltage of 2.75. Test current 2.4 milliamps. And yeah. So if I do that again, did it light it? Yep, you can actually see the light flickering. If I bring this around so that you can see it while I'm running the test, hit the analyze. There we go. So that's testing that one. Let's put the red one on. So same answer, LED or junction, red, blue, forward 1.77 volts this time. Test current 3.5 milliamps. And again, if I point that at you, so it's got a lower forward voltage because of the type of diode it is. Let's get that in there, press analyze, and there it is flickering away. So good. That's some transistor, a FET, and a couple of LEDs, flash diodes. So I'm not going to do anything more with that right now. So that's good. So I have one more thing to have a look at. Let me just zoom out a little bit, and I'll just show you here. It's not a test and measurement piece of equipment, but it did come in the mail. Where did I put it? There it is, over here. And we just finished looking at the CAN bus industrial controllers, or at least we've done 3 videos already. And what RS has just sent me is a board to look at doing an upgrade. So Raspberry Pi Foundation has just released a new range of Raspberry Pi compute modules, and what I have here is a Raspberry Pi Compute Model 3 with 16 gigabytes of eMMC flash, which is going to be a huge improvement for storage over the 4 gig that is on the one that's currently in one of the COM bus modules. So in a separate video I will be showing you how to upgrade the COM bus Core 3 Revolution Pi, and we'll go through the motions of doing a backup, doing switching out the EMCC, switching out the core module that's already in it, and then re-imaging this with the new one, and then we'll have a look at how well it's working. This module is slightly faster. I believe it runs at 1.4 gigahertz. It's got the larger flash size, and we'll do a quick check at that time to see what other features it may have in addition to what was already in the Core 3. And of course we'll see if it even works. It should. It's supposed to be pin compatible and everything else, and electrically compatible. So I think that is everything. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. See you in the next video. So the next one is going to be doing this upgrade, and then we'll start looking at some of these other components individually over time, in conjunction with actual real life projects where you would get to use them. Bye for now.